The morning had started in the usual way, with the sun spilling through the blinds and the faint hum of life outside neighbors mowing lawns. Kids riding their bikes and the soft sound of leaves brushing against each other in the cool Oregon air. Anna carried 2 grocery bags into the kitchen, placing them on the counter with a sigh of relief. She had spent the last hour shopping for the week's meals, rushing between aisles and ticking off the list in her head. It was a normal Saturday, quiet and ordinary, the kind of day she almost didn't notice passing by. Her 17-year-old son, Ethan, was still upstairs. She could hear faint music drifting from his room, a mix of guitar strums and beats that gave the house a lived-in energy. He had always loved music, often shutting himself away to write lyrics or practice songs. Anna smiled faintly, proud of how much he had grown. Life as a single mother hadn't been easy, but she had worked hard to give him a stable home. After unpacking the groceries, Anna walked toward the bathroom to freshen up. The mirror had become her quiet companion these days. In it, she often caught glimpses of both the woman she had been and the mother she had become. She turned on the faucet, splashed cold water on her face, and closed her eyes for a moment, savoring the calm. Then came the knock. It was soft at first, almost hesitant, but enough to break through the sound of running water. Anna opened her eyes quickly, glancing toward the door. "She didn't expect anyone, Mom." Ethan's voice floated through, low but steady. Anna blinked, drying her hands on a towel. The tone of his voice wasn't casual. It wasn't about a missing snack, money for the weekend, or needing the car keys. There was a weight behind it, something unspoken but pressing. "Yes, Ethan," she answered, her voice calm though her heart quickened slightly. Silence followed, a silence that stretched longer than it should have. Then, almost in a whisper, Ethan spoke again. "I need to tell you something, but I don't know how." Anna froze, gripping the edge of the sink. His words carried a tremor that unsettled her. It wasn't fear exactly, but a kind of nervous urgency. She could picture him standing outside the door, shifting his weight from one foot to the other, trying to gather courage. Her mind began to race. Was he in trouble? Was something wrong at school? Did something happen with his friends? She pushed away the flood of guesses and steadied herself. "Whatever it is," she said softly through the door, "we'll figure it out." She waited, but he didn't respond. The air between them was thick with unspoken meaning. She could hear his faint breathing, almost as if he wanted to speak but couldn't bring himself to. Anna's heart ached. Ethan had always been a little reserved when it came to feelings. He wasn't cold, he loved her deeply, but like many teenagers, he carried his emotions quietly, protecting them behind a wall of jokes, music, and silence. For him to knock while she was in the bathroom of all places meant it was urgent, too heavy to hold inside. The knock itself, simple and ordinary, had shifted the air of the entire morning. What had been routine suddenly felt uncertain, almost fragile. She pressed her palm against the cool door, not to open it yet, but to let him know she was close. "Ethan," she said gently, "you can talk to me. I'm here." Still, no answer. Only the sound of his steps moving away, slow and reluctant, like someone carrying a secret too heavy for their shoulders. Anna stood in silence, her reflection staring back at her with wide, searching eyes. Something in that moment told her this wasn't about small worries or daily problems. It was something deeper, something that had lived quietly in him for a long time and had finally reached a point where it needed to be spoken. She dried her face, turned off the faucet, and reached for the doorknob. As she stepped into the hallway, the soft glow of morning felt different, like the house itself had shifted. She could see Ethan's shadow cast on the living room wall, sitting alone on the couch. His posture told her everything she needed. 2 shoulders hunched, head bowed, hands clasped together. He was waiting. Anna took a breath, her footsteps steady as she walked toward him. The knock on the bathroom door was only the beginning. But something inside told her that whatever happened next would stay with her forever. And though she didn't yet know what he wanted to say, her heart was already bracing for the truth. Anna walked into the living room, her steps quiet but steady. Ethan was sitting on the couch, his elbows resting on his knees, his hands clasped so tightly his knuckles had gone pale. He didn't look up when she entered. And that silence told her everything. Whatever he had to say weighed heavy on him. She sat down beside him. It's close enough for him to know she was there, but not crowding him. The air between them felt fragile, like one wrong word could make him close up again. She waited, giving him the space to find his voice. Finally, Ethan lifted his eyes, and Anna saw something in them she hadn't seen in a long time, a mix of worry, sadness, and uncertainty. He opened his mouth, closed it again, then rubbed the back of his neck as if searching for the right way to start. "Mom," he said slowly, "I've been keeping something inside. I didn't know when to tell you, or even if I should. But this morning I couldn't hold it anymore." Anna leaned in slightly, her hands folded in her lap, her heart beating faster. "You can tell me anything," she said gently. "Whatever it is, I'll listen." Ethan drew a shaky breath. His voice cracked just a little when he finally spoke. "It's about Dad." The words fell like a stone in the room. Anna felt her chest tighten. She hadn't expected this. For years, she had carefully avoided bringing up David unless Ethan asked. It wasn't that she wanted to erase him, it was just that speaking about him always reopened wounds she thought were healed. Now, she realized her silence may have created more questions than comfort. Ethan's eyes flickered down again, his fingers twisting nervously. "I don't remember much about him. Just small pieces, his laugh, maybe his voice sometimes when I dream. But lately I've been asking myself, did he really love us before he left?" Anna's breath caught. For a moment, she couldn't speak. She had prepared herself for so many possibilities: school troubles, friends, even fears about the future, but not this. Not her son doubting the love of the man who had adored him. She reached out, placing her hand over his. "Ethan, why would you think that?" He shrugged, his shoulders rising and falling as if carrying a weight too big for him. "Because you never talk about him. It's like he's just gone. And when people don't talk about someone, it feels like maybe that person didn't matter. Sometimes I wonder if I even mattered to him." His words pierced through her. Anna felt a rush of emotions, grief, guilt, and an ache she thought she had buried. She realized she had been protecting herself all these years, not realizing that in staying silent, she had left Ethan with questions that cut deep. "I see him in old photos," Ethan continued, his voice quieter now. "He's smiling, holding me when I was little. But then I look at you, and you don't mention him. I thought maybe it hurt too much because he didn't care. Maybe that's why you never bring him up." Anna shook her head quickly, her eyes stinging with tears she hadn't planned on shedding. "No, Ethan, no. That's not it at all." He looked at her then, his eyes wide, searching her face for answers. She saw the boy he had been, the little child who once clung to her hand, also the young man he was becoming, strong but vulnerable in this moment. Anna took a deep breath. Her voice trembled, but she made sure her words were steady. "Your father loved you more than I can ever explain. He adored you. From the moment he held you, his whole world was you. He stayed awake at night just to make sure you were breathing. He dreamed about teaching you things, riding a bike, driving a car, even walking you through life as you grew up. You were his greatest joy, Ethan. His everything." Ethan's lips parted, as if the truth was almost too much to take in. "But then why? Why does it feel like he just disappeared?" Anna squeezed his hand. "Because when he passed, it broke me too. I thought staying quiet would protect both of us. I didn't want to cry in front of you every day, and I didn't want you to grow up only seeing my pain. So I kept my memories locked away, thinking it would make life easier. But I was wrong. I should have shared them with you." The room was silent again, but this time it was different. It wasn't heavy with secrets anymore. It was filled with the weight of honesty. Ethan blinked hard, fighting back tears, his jaw tight. "I just needed to know," he whispered, "because sometimes I feel like I'm forgetting him. Like the more I grow, the less I remember. And I don't want to lose him completely." Kana's throat tightened. She wanted to gather him in her arms like she used to when he was small, but she held back for a moment. "Letting him finish. You're not losing him," she said softly. "He's with you. Every smile you give, every stubborn thought you have, Every spark in your music, that's him. You carry him without even realizing it. Ethan looked down at their joined hands, his shoulders trembling slightly. He nodded once, slowly, as though he was finally beginning to believe her. Anna leaned closer, her voice gentle. He didn't choose to leave us, Ethan. Life took him too soon. But his love never left. Not for a second. For the first time that morning, Ethan let out a breath that seemed to carry some of his burden away. His eyes were wet, but behind them there was something newer, fragile sense of relief. Of knowing he wasn't forgotten, that his father's love had been real and deep. And Anna sat quietly for a moment, her thoughts pulling her back through the years. The name of her late husband, David, had not been spoken much in the house. Yet now his presence felt alive in the room. She looked at Ethan, her son, nearly grown, but with eyes that still carried the innocence of a child searching for answers. She knew she could no longer hold back the truth. He deserved to know. She took a breath, steadying her voice. Ethan, your father loved us with his whole heart. He wasn't perfect, but his love was real, and it was strong. When you were born, he cried. He held you in his arms and said you were the best thing that had ever happened to him. I'll never forget that look on his face. It was pure joy. Ethan's gaze stayed fixed on her, listening closely. His chest rose and fell with slow breaths, as if every word mattered. Anna saw that hunger in him, the need to connect with memories that time had stolen. Your dad wasn't just your father, Anna continued softly. He was my partner, my best friend. He would rush home from work just to see you before bed. Sometimes he'd wake me up at night just to whisper, "He's going to be amazing one day, Anna. I can feel it." He was so proud of you, even when you were just a little boy learning to walk. A faint smile flickered on Ethan's lips, but it quickly faded. Then why did it all feel like it disappeared so fast? Anna's voice trembled. Because life isn't fair sometimes. The accident happened so suddenly. One day we were planning our future, and the next day it was gone. I wasn't ready, Ethan. I didn't know how to carry all of that pain and raise you at the same time. So I thought silence was safer. But I see now that silence just left you with questions. Ethan leaned back, his eyes wet but steady. I don't remember much, Mom. Just a few blurry images. Sometimes I think I hear his laugh in my head, but I don't know if it's real or if I made it up. I feel like the more I grow up, the less I can hold on to him. Anna reached for his hand, her grip warm and strong. You don't have to remember everything, Ethan. I'll carry those memories for both of us. I can tell you the stories, the little things that made him who he was. And even if you forget the sound of his laugh, the truth is, you carry him inside you. You have his eyes, his smile. Even the way you tap your fingers when you're nervous, that's exactly what he used to do. Ethan blinked, processing her words. Really? He did that too? Anna smiled faintly. Yes, he'd sit at the table, tapping away without realizing it. Sometimes it drove me crazy, but now I'd give anything to hear it again. And when you do it, it reminds me of him. It makes me feel like he's still here. The room grew quiet, but it wasn't heavy anymore. It was filled with something softer, like the comfort of truth finally spoken. Ethan wiped his eyes quickly, not wanting to show too much emotion, but Anna saw it anyway. She saw the boy who had longed for answers and the young man learning how to carry loss. I used to imagine what he'd say to me, Ethan whispered. Like if he was here, what advice he'd give. What he'd think about the choices I'm making. I wanted to know if he'd be proud of me. Anna tightened her hold on his hand. He would be more than proud. He'd look at you and see everything he dreamed of. You're kind, you're strong, and you're determined. Those are things he hoped you would grow into. Ethan, you are the proof of his love. You're the part of him that never left. Ethan's lips parted as if he wanted to speak, but instead he let out a shaky laugh, mixed with tears. I just wish I had more time with him. Anna's eyes softened. So do I every single day. But love doesn't end, Ethan. Even when someone is gone, love keeps living in the people they leave behind. That's what I held on to all these years, even when it hurt too much to say it out loud." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The silence was not empty this time. It was filled with connection, with the quiet sound of two hearts finally sharing the same truth. Ethan leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees, his voice quiet but certain. "I think I understand now. He didn't choose to leave. Life took him away. But that doesn't mean he stopped loving us." Anna nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. "Exactly. He never stopped. He never would." The weight in the room began to shift, replaced by something lighter, something healing. Ethan wasn't a little boy anymore, but in that moment, he allowed himself to be vulnerable. To trust her words, Anna knew this conversation was long overdue. She had been afraid of reopening the pain. But now she realized that sharing David's love wasn't reopening wounds. It was closing them. She brushed a strand of hair from Ethan's forehead and smiled through her tears. "You carry him in you, Ethan. Every step you take, every dream you chase, he's with you. That's something no time, no loss can ever erase." Ethan nodded slowly, his eyes clearer now, as though a veil had been lifted. "I think I needed to hear that more than I realized." Anna's heart swelled. "And I needed to say it more than I realized." They sat together, not as mother and child separated by silence, but as two souls bound by love and memory. In speaking the truth, Anna felt the house itself grow lighter, as if the shadows of the past had finally loosened their grip. The knock on the bathroom door had been the spark. The words that followed became the bridge between past and present. And now, in the warmth of that living room, Anna and Ethan began to carry David together, no longer in silence, but in shared remembrance. Anna wrapped her arms around Ethan, pulling him close the way she used to when he was a little boy, when his whole world could be fixed with her embrace. For a moment, it felt like time folded in on itself, past and present meeting in that quiet space. Ethan didn't resist. He leaned into her, his shoulders trembling, letting her hold him. It was the kind of embrace that said more than words ever could. "Mom," he whispered, his voice breaking, "thank you for telling me. I feel like I can breathe again." Anna pressed her cheek against his hair, tears rolling silently down her face. "You never have to carry this alone, Ethan. We're in this together always." The house seemed to sigh around them, as though even the walls were relieved to hear the truth spoken after years of silence. For the first time in a long while, Anna felt peace settling in the corners of her home. Later that evening, after dinner dishes had been cleared and the rhythm of the day slowed, Anna found herself standing by the living room window. The sky outside was painted in shades of dark blue and silver. Stars began to appear, one by one, twinkling against the vast canvas above. She leaned on the window frame, her arms folded, her eyes searching the heavens. She thought about David, about how suddenly he had been taken, and about how his absence had shaped every moment since. She wondered if he could see them now. He knew how much they missed him, how his son longed for him, how she still carried his love like a shadow stitched into her soul. Behind her, she heard footsteps. Ethan walked into the room, his face calm but thoughtful. "Can I sit with you?" he asked. Anna nodded, and together they sat on the couch facing the window. The night was quiet except for the hum of crickets outside. Ethan tilted his head back, looking at the stars. "Do you think he's out there, watching us?" Anna smiled softly. "I don't know for sure, but I like to believe he is. Some things can't be explained, Ethan. Love is one of them. It doesn't end, it just changes form. Maybe he's one of those stars, shining down to remind us he's still here." Ethan was quiet for a moment, then whispered, "Sometimes I think he sent me to knock on your door today. Like, maybe he wanted me to ask." Anna's breath caught. The thought stirred something deep inside her. Could it be? Could David's love still move through their lives in small, unexplainable ways? She turned to look at her son, his profile illuminated by the soft glow of moonlight, and realized how much he resembled his father. The curve of his jaw, the set of his shoulders, it was as though David was sitting there too, alive in the shape of their boy. "I think you might be right," she said, her voice low. Sometimes the universe nudges us when we need it most. Maybe today was one of those moments. Ethan leaned back, his eyes fixed on the stars. It makes me wonder if I'll keep finding pieces of him in me as I grow. Like when I graduate, when I start my own life, maybe even when I have a family. Do you think he'll still feel close then? Anna reached for his hand, squeezing gently. Yes, because love doesn't fade, Ethan. It echoes through everything we do. When you chase your dreams, when you fall in love, when you face hard days, he'll be there in the strength you carry, in the kindness you give. He'll be with you in ways you may not always notice, but you'll feel it. Just like you felt it today when you knocked on my door. Ethan's lips curved into a small, thoughtful smile. I like that. It makes me feel less alone. Anna brushed away the last of her tears and smiled back. You'll never be alone. You have me, and you'll always have him in your heart. The two of them sat in silence again, but this time it was warm, almost sacred. The stars above seemed to shine brighter, as though agreeing with the bond that had been strengthened between mother and son. As the night deepened, Anna's mind wandered back to the moment that started it, all the soft knock on the bathroom door. She thought about how simple it had been, how ordinary, and yet how it had cracked open years of silence. It was such a small act, but it carried the weight of healing, of love rediscovered. She whispered to herself, almost like a prayer. Maybe it was you. David, maybe you sent him to me at the exact moment I was